And he was wondering, what does this dream mean? And so he decided to go to this woman who is known for interpreting dreams so that she would explain the dream to him. And at a point, he asked the woman a question. He asked her that, how am I going to get to Egypt? Because in the dream, he was supposed to go to Egypt. And she said, I only interpret dreams. I don't know how to turn them into reality. That's the first part I want to dwell on. We'll come to the second part. And so for a lot of us, we have knowledge about something. We know that there's a possibility that you can go to medical school and become a doctor, or you can work hard and make money. There are a lot of things we have knowledge about, but knowledge is not enough. If you have knowledge, there should be another layer where we convert the knowledge, what we are aware of. We take action about what we are aware of. And that is where dreams become reality. But we live in a world where, sadly, a lot of us have knowledge. We have knowledge about a lot of things, but we don't have the courage or the confidence or whatever it takes to move from knowing to doing. But it is only when we move from knowing to doing that our dreams will become reality. And so awareness is just the first step. Knowledge is the first step. When you have knowledge, now you have to think about how you convert the knowledge you have into some kind of action to make your life what you want it to be. A lot of us are stuck in this place. And what makes this paragraph even more profound is the fact that she went further and she said that that's why I have to live off what my daughters provide me with. So anytime we get stuck in the place where all we have is knowledge, we begin to lack. Because the only way your knowledge will translate into money, it will translate into wealth, will translate into something that will serve you as a human being, is when you change the knowledge into action. So this woman has a lot of knowledge, but she does not take any action with it. And so in effect, her life is not wealthy. She has to depend on other people. And so for a lot of people who are depending on others, it may be that they have knowledge, but they have no action to back their knowledge. And so it is very important that as we walk through life, first we acquire knowledge. Welcome. We are discussing a book entitled The Alchemist. Okay, and so we have some. Mr. Rahman, what happened to the projection? We have some important paragraphs from the book that we are discussing. Okay, and we are discussing this paragraph I am reading out. I only interpret dreams. I don't know how to turn them into reality. That's why I have to live off what my daughters give me. And so the symbolic meaning of this paragraph is that there's a difference between knowing and doing. And so in life, there are people who interpret life, and there are people who live it. Everything they have a commentary about. You raise a topic and they will tell you everything you know about it. And there are those who don't talk, but they act. There are people who have been to business school. People have PhD in business, but they don't have one business. And there are people in Mokola who have never been to business school, but they are doing business. And their life is better, and they are doing things that people who have never stepped into a classroom are doing. And so it is very good to have knowledge, but it is better when you have knowledge and you convert that knowledge into action. Because when you convert the knowledge into action, whichever kind of knowledge it is, it adds value to your life. And one example of value is money. It is not just about money, but money is one example of the many values you get when you convert knowledge into action. Okay. And so there are three things we learn here. That one, there are people who have vision, but they don't execute it. Two, there are people who depend on others to sustain them. And three, there is that tragedy of untapped potential where we know, but we don't know how to convert what we know into what will serve as well. And so my prayer is that for every one of us here, we come here every day, we learn, we acquire knowledge, we hear about something we didn't know before. It's not just about learning, it's not just about reading a book and enjoying the principles in the book. After we have gathered the knowledge, the next step is, how do I convert this knowledge into action so that my life will be better tomorrow than it is today? The next paragraph I want us to discuss, Mr. Rahman, slide 4. So for those of us who are new, please, at the end of the service, we'll share the book so that everyone has a copy. And we always tell ahead of time the pages we'll be discussing. So in this paragraph, which is on page 98, this is the boy thinking, the boy Santiago, the shepherd. He wrote, everyone seems to have a clear idea of how other people should lead their lives, but none about his or her own. Everyone seems to have a clear idea of how other people should live their lives, but none about his or her own. I think there is even a Bible verse that talks about this, but in a different way. It says that before you remove the speck from somebody's eye, you should remove the log from your own eye. And so how do we understand the statement? The floor is open. Anybody can talk. Pretty lady, please, what's your name? Sally. And then the gentleman beside, please, what's your name? Moses. Hey, my dad is called Moses. Wow. Welcome. So what do you think about the paragraph, where the sentence we just read?
So I think we see people and then we see the way they are living their lives is not right. Sometimes you see them doing something like this person. Like when a person goes in, you can see that things will not go on well. You think the person should do it this way or that way. But then you yourself, there's something wrong you are doing which is actually going to lead you to a bad end. And you're unable to identify, you think you're doing it right. And you think definitely, oh, when you go, you be rich, everything will be fine. And think someone will be in the bad place. Meanwhile, it's actually the opposite. So while checking other people's lives, you should also think of how you are going to better yours, put the action in place, and then you can also come and say,
Wow. Thank you. I like that. Thank you very much. Moses, do you have something to add? Does anybody has something else to add? Oh, say something. Say something. Say something. I'm giving up on you.
All right, so as Christians, it is very important, every aspect of our lives, to take notice of our own steps before we judge others. Many people end up judging others without focusing on their own lives, which at the end of the day is them to the other side. If you always press on people, or you always tag people, or you always have some perceptions of how people are living their life without keeping in check your own life, it's into something else. So I understand the test in a way that whilst we live life as they pass by, we should take notice of our own lives as Christians.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Moses. Thank you. Please, the left wing people, do you have anything to add? Mr. Kwame, if you have something to add, please, you are welcome. Yeah.
Lately, I've been studying something. Sometimes we think of it and we are all guilty. In the mind of God, when you read the Bible, those of you who know the book of Romans, the Bible says that God is not condemning or judging us, right? He's not imputing our sins or our mistakes or our trespasses against us. What it means is that even the God we are trying to learn from, the one we serve, He's not judging us. In fact, if God sees what we call sinners, He sees Jesus in them. Just imagine the worst of sins, the person who has gone to even kill somebody. If God sees the person today, He sees the person as He sees Jesus. The scripture says that He who knew no sin became what? Sin for us, that we, everyone, all humanity, might become the righteousness of God. In other words, God does not see a sinner. But we've been told contrary in churches, we've been told that we are righteous and those who don't go to church are what? Are sinners. It is wrong. So this 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 test, this is how I understand it. You see, we see this world from the window of our own perception. In other words, the way we see the world is how we see ourselves. That is it. The way you see other people is actually how you see yourself. So if you see yourself as good, you will see all people to be good. It does not mean the actions of people will always be right. But what it means is that Bible says that God who calls the end from the beginning, who calls light out of darkness. In other words, you have to see people for who they can be. That is in the perfect image of Christ, than who they are. It's a very difficult, stuff, but we all feel different, we are all guilty of this. So I believe that in order to stop judging people, you rather have to do self-reflection. When you see people's mistakes, ask yourself, am I committing such errors or mistakes in my life? What can I do to better myself? What can I do to even help them? Instead of saying, oh, poor them, oh, look at this girl, look at that boy, he's smoking everywhere, he's going to, and the thing is that I used to tell my mom this many years ago. When you see other people, the mistakes you see and pronounce of those people, eventually they happen in your own life. You market everything. If you are judging people around, telling you where they are, where they are, why is very soon that character, that habit will visit you. Very soon. So you see, if you understand that by judging others, you are actually going to, even if you see something in somebody you don't like, pray for them and move on. But if you go ahead to judge them, you are eventually going to manifest the same attitude. That's the principle of life. Okay.
Mr. Kwame wants to say something.
Yes, I'm saying something to top up what the man of God said. The same thing happened in the Bible. Cain killed his brother Abel. After the sin, he was afraid of his punishment. And then he told God that his sins was too much for him to bear. But over here in this context, sometimes the people will point fingers at you don't know what God has in store for them. So sometimes we have to be careful when judging people.
What Mr. Dubuahin put it, because when we come to the spiritual context, God has different plans for different people. And there's no way God would come and explain to you the plan he has for Esther, he will not come and explain to you. Even Esther herself, God will not tell her. It's a process she has to go through. It's only God that knows the end from the beginning. And so when we decide that we'll be authors of other people's life rather than our own, we end up criticizing and judging a lot. And at the end of the day, we waste all of our time because we have no idea what the person's journey is about. We have no idea what God is preparing that person for. We even do not have any idea the options these people have to choose from. So maybe you find somebody who is humanizing, or you find a lady who is selling her body for money, and you are very quick to judge the person. Do we even have any idea what options she had to eat? And then she chose this path. Maybe the other options were worse than this one, and then she chose this one. But for us, we didn't know. And this paragraph is just a highlight of a very universal paradox, where as human beings, it is easier for us to look on the outside rather than the inside. It is not just about judging people, but even when it comes to our search for God, our quest for knowledge, for understanding of what life is all about, we go around seeking for it from other people. We are looking for love from outside. We are looking for validation. We are looking for peace. We are depending on other people to show us who God is. When all this while, all these things that we are looking for, at the time that we were created, God has placed all those things inside of our own selves. But we go around and it is so easy to look outside. But the challenge to all of us here today is that in all aspects of life, just remember that every answer you need to every kind of problem you are facing, it lies inside of you. And although it is more difficult to shine the spotlight on yourself and to look at the places where you stink or where you are, it is difficult. But notice that in life, anything, whenever you have two options, the easy option and the difficult option, the difficult option would always give you a better reward, although it is more painful. The easier option, you get what you are looking for faster and easier with no pain, no criticism. And then the difficult option is more painful, more uncomfortable. It may take a longer time to get to your destination. But that is the path that brings you something that is permanent. And so we all need to stop authoring other people's lives. We need to stop looking for the things we desire from other people. For example, you are in a relationship and you are expecting some things from your partner, and every time you are complaining about, it's possible that this thing that you are looking for, that your partner cannot do it for you. You need to do it for yourself. We are looking for love from other people. We are looking for validation from other people. But it starts from inside of us. If you are able to go inside of yourself, because some of us, we are demanding people to do certain things for us or to love us in a certain way. But you, if a copy of you was brought to you to love, you can't love that person. And yet you are expecting your partner to love you. Hey. So you see, the real crux of the matter is for us to develop that habit where we want to put ourselves on the examination table instead of putting Kwame or Esther or Raman on the table and talk, oh, ne toko achia, ne ka, ne kra, enye papa, bema no ware no, bema ne, you know, instead of doing that, why don't we spend the energy putting ourselves on the dissection table? It's uncomfortable. But if we really want to grow, we have to do it. Put yourself on the dissection table. I'm talking like a doctor now. When we are going to medical school, there's a part where we do what we call human anatomy. So they'll put the dead body on the table, dissecting table, because you cut, and cutting is called dissection. So they'll put the human being on the dissection table, and you cut one by one every part of the body, from the head, everywhere. You are cutting, you want to see the muscles that are there, the nerves that are there, the blood vessels. So that is what dissection is. You put yourself on the dissecting table and you look at your life critically. The way I talk to people, if people were speaking to me like that, would I like it? You are asking yourself how you react to situations. Is it really the best? Genuinely. It is uncomfortable to judge your own self, but that is where real growth begins. Because people may tell you, people may try to advise you, but if you don't sit down and do that introspection and come to that realization yourself that I had the bone was you would never change. And because as human beings, we like comfort, we will take the spotlight off ourselves. And then it is easier for us to now divert our attention and talk about other people. And so anytime you find yourself talking about other people, you should realize that it's almost like you have left your house that you are building and you've gone to somebody's site and you are telling the person, oh, and say, and you say, your land and your blocks and your mortar and water, they are sitting there. You have not built your house and you have walked to Bra Kwame's site. He is building his house and you are telling him, yeni say, window ne wadodo, door no fabraha. That is what we literally do when we spend our time criticizing the life of other people. We are only responsible for our own lives. And so let us focus on criticizing ourselves. That is where growth begins. Please, any more additions to this passage before we move on? So, in summary, this paragraph is a reminder that one, please come in. You are welcome. I think that, do you think after this we should end and start praying? You are very much welcome. This paragraph is a summary of three things. One, that our energy is better spent understanding our own path rather than criticizing other people's path. True wisdom begins with self-reflection, not control, not criticism. So instead of criticizing other people, instead of trying to control the lives of other people, we should seek to self-reflect. Think about your own life. Look for the places in your life that are not perfect and ask yourself, how can I make me perfect? And finally, our greatest journey, whichever kind of angle you look at it, is not an outward journey. It is not about fixing other people. It is an inward journey, which is focused on discovering ourselves and in the process making ourselves better. Do we have one more? So we'll do one more from the book and then we'll call it a day. Please, for those of you who just came, we are having a personal development and a professional growth class, and we are focusing on the book, The Alchemist. Please, have you read The Alchemist before? It's one of the best books ever, and so we'll send you a soft copy at the end of the service. Every week, we would give a target, the number of pages we should read, and then when we come here, we discuss salient points from what we have read. It is good if you read it before you come, because I'm only discussing some salient points. But when you read it, you get another understanding. You understand the story and the context better. Yeah, so our final point for today, please, are we on slide 5? Okay, thank you. Madam Esther, please read for us. The what's on there? Page 111, the highlighted part.
The boy didn't know where Salem was, but he didn't want to ask, fearing that he would appear ignorant. He looked at the people in the plaza for a
No,
while.
yes, the parts, they're up to ignorant. So kindly read again.
The boy didn't know where Salem was, but he didn't want to ask, fearing that he would appear ignorant.
Thank you very much. And so the boy Santiago the shepherd had met a king, and he asked the king, "Where do you come from?" And the king said, "I come from Salem." Please, does anybody have any thoughts on this paragraph? The king told him that I was born in Salem, but the boy did not know where Salem was. He did not ask either because he feared that he would appear ignorant. How do you feel about this paragraph? Have you ever been in that kind of place before? When it comes to personal growth, here we are all doing something related to personal growth, okay? The boy's hesitation to ask where Salem was, because he really did not know, but he didn't want to ask. We all come to that place where we hesitate, and it represents two things, and both things are barriers to personal growth, okay? Pride and then fear of vulnerability. We are proud to admit that we don't know, one. And then two, we are afraid that when we show people we do not know, they will think less of us. And so those two things keep us from becoming a better version of ourselves. Sometimes we are in a class like this, we are discussing this thing, then I'll ask, does anybody have anything to say? Maybe but you are afraid that you think that the English is not good enough, or you think that so that fear of vulnerability, it's a blockade to personal growth. Because if you want to grow, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. Because then when you speak up today, tomorrow you speak up again, and before you realize, in every class you are speaking up. And because you know that when you come and speak up. When you are going through the week, you speak more English, you are practicing, you are discussing. And in 5 months' time, you'll be very different from the person you are today. And so at every point in time, let us never let these two barriers to personal growth come at us: pride and the fear of vulnerability. Please, anybody else has something to add? One of the first steps to wisdom is saying, I don't know. It is very hard for all of us, including myself. There are some things that I think I should know now that I don't know. So when I'm asking people, I'm a fairy. But the truth is that you don't know. You delaying confessing that you don't know will not make you know it any faster. And so the earlier you tell people that I don't know, teach me, help me, the better you will become a better version of yourself. Please, any more contributions? We are rounding up. Welcome.
where he kept persevering until he find the Savior to save him from his blindness. So, you being a Christian, of course, once in a while you will meet those things, but keep on going so you get there. Don't feel shy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Our personal development study is that we need to remember a few things. Generally, we hesitate to ask for help, whether in marriage, in a relationship, at work. In all our relationships, we tend to hesitate to ask for help because we don't want to appear weak. And because we don't ask for help, we stay stuck in our confusion, in our weakness, in our ignorance. And the last thing that happens is that at the end of the day, we as human beings, we value appearance over wisdom. So because we want to look good, we stay in ignorance. But it is always better to have knowledge than to appear good. And that is how we end our personal development class for today. In a moment, but God has been gracious and merciful to us.